The Witch of the Friday Market, they say. If you walk through the Friday Market of Fez, just before dawn when the fog clings low to the ground and even the call to prayer hasn't broken the silence, you might see her, just a shadow under a hood, standing perfectly still behind an abandoned stall. No one knows where she comes from, but they all agree on one thing. She never blinks, and she's always watching. The beginning of the curse this tale begins in 19. A young widow from the outskirts of Fez used to frequent the Friday Market to sell handmade soap and herbs passed down from her grandmother's ancient recipes. Locals loved her. Her skin glowed, her eyes were kind, and her hands always smelled of lavender and clove. But Fatima had secrets. Some said she spoke to the dead, others said she could tell your future just by looking at the color of your eyes. Most dismissed it just souk gossip. That was until the day a child vanished. 80-year-old Ahmed, son of the butcher, disappeared just hours after his mother got into a heated argument with Fatima. Witnesses claimed she cursed the woman publicly, murmuring something in a strange tongue as her eyes rolled white. That night, dogs howled endlessly. Lights flickered in homes surrounding the souk, and Ahmed was never found. The burning 2 days later, the townspeople snapped. Driven by fear and old superstition, they dragged Fatima from her home at night. Some said she didn't resist, others claimed she laughed. They burned her behind the olive stalls of the Friday Market, exactly where she once sold her soaps. As her body turned to ash, a gust of wind howled through the alleyways, extinguishing torches and knocking over cots. One man, old Hassan, saw her face in the flames and collapsed from a heart attack on the spot. Her final scream echoed so violently through the market that some swear it still lingers in the stone walls. The hauntings begin within a week. Strange things began to happen. Vendors found their goods rotted overnight, livestock refused to walk past the burned area, and children started talking to the woman in the veil. They described her as tall, silent, with charred fingertips and eyes that wept black tears. One merchant, Kareem, claimed he saw a reflection in the copper teapots on his stall, smiling, even though no one stood behind him. The next day his wife went mad, tearing apart their home, screaming about the ash woman in her dreams. The disappearances from 1983 to 1992, 7 people vanished from the Friday Market without explanation. No signs of struggle, no bodies, nothing left behind except a pile of soot. The market was nearly shut down, but tradition is stronger than fear in Morocco. Vendors returned, business resumed, but the rules changed. Never sell anything from Fatima's stall, never mention her name after sundown, and never ever look directly at the black-veiled woman if you see her standing still among the crowd. The documentarian in 2014, a young French documentarian named Elise, came to Fez. She'd heard rumors of the Witch of the Friday Market and wanted to make a film. Locals refused to talk on record. She laughed it off. Armed with cameras and a mic, Elise filmed at sunrise, slow pans over the empty market. She even set her camera on a tripod near the scorched stone where Fatima was burned. Then she stepped away, just for a minute. When she came back, the lens was cracked and every frame was blank. All except one. It showed the market empty. But in the far left corner, partially blurred, stood a woman in a black veil, her hands folded neatly in front of her, and soot gathering around her feet. Elise left Morocco that night and never released the footage. 2 months later, she was found dead in her Paris apartment, clutching a burnt piece of cloth in her hands. The autopsy listed heart failure, but her final Google search read, "How to break a Moroccan curse." Today, the Friday Market still runs, and people still whisper. They say Fatima is still there, watching from the shadows, feeding off fear, feeding off those who forget the rules. If you ever visit, remember, don't follow the crying sound near the olives. Don't stare too long into the copper. And if a veiled woman offers you soap for free, run. This is the end of part 1. If you want to hear more tales of terror, check out part 2 of this series. We'll be visiting a haunted hospital, a ghost train, and yes, we're going to go inside the Devil's Cave. You guys have been asking for this for years, and let me tell you, it only gets darker from here.